So after the 2020 finals, where the Miami Heat took the LA Lakers to 6 games without their second and third best players for most of the series, a lot of people thought the same thing. They have a really bright future ahead of them, and people need to take them seriously in the upcoming seasons. Part of this is due to the mindsets of both Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley, but another part of this is the fact that they have a lot of good young talent who also play really well together. And so when you have that, and you keep most of your roster coming into the season outside of Jay Crowder, which was a loss for them, but also adding a guy like Avery Bradley, it's easy to see why a lot of people believe that the Miami Heat will be one of the toughest teams to beat this season. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be looking at their offseason as a whole, some takeaways from last season, and what we can expect from them this season. So let's get into the video.
When you consider that Elton Brand is still there, Doc Rivers has arrived, and Daryl Morey is your president of basketball operations. The combination of that with the Greek Freak signing, with the Brooklyn Nets getting a healthy Kevin Durant into the equation to go along with healthy Kyrie returning from the shoulder surgery, the Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddies of the world being there. Those three teams have stolen so many headlines. And the one headline that we've had from Miami, other than signing Bam Adebayo to his extension, is the fact that they're not going to get the Greek Freak because it's rather than approach free agency with an open mind, he closed the door on all of that by re-upping with Milwaukee.
So like Stephen A just said, the main headlines we've been paying attention to this offseason have been Giannis's contract situation, everything going on in Philadelphia with Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey joining the team, all the James Harden rumors, and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant both being back and healthy, and being added to a team that was the 7th seed last season with Kyrie missing a large amount of time, and Kevin Durant missing the entire season. So it's understandable that all those headlines would be more important or more interesting to a majority of NBA fans than the Heat signing Avery Bradley. Like, there's no denying that. But it is still worth noting that the Heat aren't going anywhere, and people will be reminded of that as soon as the season starts. So let's start with a few things to look at with the Miami Heat coming into next season. A lot of concerns were pretty much taken care of early in the offseason when they signed both Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic to contract extensions. They signed Dragic to a 2-year $37 million contract, and they signed Bam Adebayo to a max contract. 5 years, $164 million. So it's really safe to say that he's not going anywhere, because I mean, Jimmy Butler is likely not going anywhere anytime soon, unless something insane happens, because his relationship with Pat Riley is really good because they have the same goal and the similar mindset. So this Miami Heat team is gonna be a tough team to beat as long as they have those four there. Pat Riley, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Goran Dragic. But of course, the team isn't just those four. So let's take a look at the supporting cast that they were able to hold on to this offseason. Both Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson are still on their contracts and are both restricted free agents at the end of their deals, which basically means that they can get offers from teams in free agency, but the Heat have the ability to match those offers of that other team that's trying to sign them. They also both have qualifying offers coming up, which means that they could potentially instead become unrestricted if they were to both sign those qualifying offers. But of course, we would have to wait and see for that one because we have no idea what's going to happen with that. But that's their contract situation. And I feel like they're going to want to stay because the Heat had a lot of success with both of them, and there are really no chemistry problems that we know of because really the only time we've seen them being a part of trade talks or anything like that was when the James Harden rumors were coming out. And I mean, that's James Harden. So I mean, I don't really think that they're thinking too much about that. But overall, they're going to be a lot of help to the team in the future, considering Tyler Herro is already a really good player and on the verge of possibly becoming a starter if he keeps up the level of play that we saw from him last season. Because in his rookie season, he averaged 13.5 points, 4 rebounds, and he shot nearly 39% from 3 on 5 attempts a game. And in the playoffs, he elevated his play and averaged 16 points, 5 rebounds, and shot 37.5% from 3 on 6 attempts. And given that was his rookie season, I have no problem believing that he could potentially become the third option on the team sometime this season, which would give them even more options to go to because I mean, Goran Dragic is another really good playmaker and a good scorer for them. So if they have those two guys as their third and fourth options, that's going to be really good for them. They also still have Duncan Robinson, who is quickly earning the title as one of the best shooters in the league. Last season, he shot 44.5% from 3 on 8 attempts per game. That's insane considering that was really his first full season in the NBA, because his first year he only played a handful of games. And so when you look at it like that, man, that dude is gonna be a problem because the way that he plays is so similar to Stephen Clay, because he's always moving and you can't leave him open. So it's gonna be really good to have someone else like that commanding that attention for them. Let's get to some of the other role players because this is where we saw the most change, even though there weren't really too many changes anyway. So the Heat were able to re-sign Myers Leonard and they kept Andre Iguodala, which is gonna be important for their defense this season even though he's about to turn 37 years old. He can still be really useful on that end of the floor. And some people think he can also be useful in certain situations.
Of everyone on Golden State, open shot, fate of the universe on the line, or the Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth, you better hit it. I want Iguodala. Iguodala's got ice water in his veins.
Alright, I'm kidding. But, so those are the things that didn't change from last season. Now let's talk about the things that did. Jay Crowder, who was a really good defender for them, decided to sign a deal with Phoenix, but his scoring last season will also be missed, because after he got to Miami in a deal involving both him and Andre Iguodala, he was shooting 48% from the field and 44% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. And so that area of his game is gonna be missed because they mainly signed guys to make up for his defense, while I'm assuming Tyler Hero might be able to fill some of that void on offense. The Heat signed Avery Bradley to a 1-year deal for $5.6 million, who's going to provide some more perimeter defense for them and some scoring, so that'll be really good for them. And they also signed Mo Harkless to sort of make up for the loss of Jay Crowder. They signed him to a 1-year, $3.6 million deal, and like I said, he's there to fill some of the void that Crowder left by being a good versatile defender, while also being a little taller than him, so that can slightly add to his versatility. But he's not the shooter and scorer that Jay Crowder was during his time with the Heat, but like I said before, that responsibility may be taken care of by Tyler Hero. So where does that leave us? Well, with a really good team that can still compete with literally anybody in the Eastern Conference. Because coming into the season, their biggest threat in that conference is really Milwaukee, who they beat in 5 games last season, but Milwaukee added Drew Holiday, which is gonna be huge for them in terms of having other options to go to than the Giannis freight train, which actually, I have to talk about this because I know that it's still early, but based on what we've seen in preseason, it still looks like Giannis has not developed a reliable jump shot. And I have to say, why? That's the only flaw in your game. And yet, it's the biggest flaw because without getting to the rim, you're almost completely neutralized. So I mean, like, I can't exactly understand why he hasn't worked on that area of his game, or at least it doesn't seem like he worked on that area of his game. All that means is you have a really good chance of losing to the same team using the same game plan. And now, you signed a supermax, so you're stuck there unless you want out, which Giannis has repeatedly said he's not leaving anytime soon, but we know how that can turn out with superstars. But still, I don't get it. So if the Bucks are still the greatest threat to the Heat, then in my opinion, they have a really good chance to make the finals for a second straight season. Of course, we now also have Brooklyn, who now have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant back and healthy, so we can add them to the mix, but I'm not making any specific predictions there because I want to see how that situation plays out during the season. So with all that being said, I want to know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think the Heat have a good chance of making the 2021 finals, or do you think they may run into problems, and if so, what might those problems be? But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.